science is, before you go to the moon, you have a premise. And that premise is the constancy of natural law.
Scientist?
Now, the premise in religion is the existence of a God.
Philosopher?
Well, I'm thinking very profoundly now. And then it came to me like a flash.
Psychic?
Bubbles will last if they do not break.
Bubbles will last forever. Now, that may not sound too profound to some people, but to this man, it is the foundation of a very special 50-year love affair.
Funny, isn't it? But it's true. Bubbles will last if they don't break.
A love affair with soap bubbles. 80-year-old Eiffel plaster is the Beethoven of bubbles, the grand master of those slippery globules. Nearly 50 years ago, Eiffel began experimenting with these sudsy wonders and ended up creating the only bubble show in the world. He calls it his Bubbles Concerto.
I've been blowing bubbles for 50 years. Well, but I must say, I was working with bubbles all prior to that time.
As a young physics teacher, Eiffel used bubbles for science class demonstrations. His interest in bubbles became so keen and his mastery of them so great, he soon started performing with bubbles professionally. To Eiffel, the wondrous bubble wasn't something you just blew. Bubbles should be touched and tickled, caressed and coddled.
It's fun. You lift your bubble up like that and squeeze your fingers like that, drop it, reach out and catch it, and hold it in your hand. You can just play with it and cat with it.
After playing around with his bubbles, Eiffel finally gets down to business and begins sculpting them. Here he is creating one of his famous vertical chains, which when completed, becomes his 5-foot Eiffel bubble tower.
I want to be the master of the show, see? I want to tell these bubbles what to do, and I want them to do it. I tell them to join, I want them to join. See? I want to be the master. But that isn't the way it is. That's the way it may appear. That's the way I'd like for it to appear for a little bit. But really, I'm kind of humbled. The bubbles are the masters, and I've got to do it their way.
Indeed, plaster does it their way, but watch as he commands these two bubbles to mate.
We're two bubbles, and join together and become one. To the count of 10. 1, 2, 3. Come on. 4. Come on. 5, 6. Come on and join. Thank you.
When Eiffel isn't busy with his bubbles, like many artists, scientists, and philosophers, he retreats to his farm, where he's revitalized by nature.
The wonders of this world, and some people go through life without being enthused about the beauty and the wonder of the world. We're living in a marvelous world. It's amazing, and it's beyond our comprehension.
Much of Eiffel's wonderful world is made up of the bubble, which he feels almost has a life of its own. At one time, he produced a bubble that survived in a jar for 340 days, the longest ever recorded. But he discovered if bubbles are born, they also die.
Last year, I saw something new that I'd never seen before. I saw 2 of them die the natural death. I call that the twilight period of a bubble, where it finally disappears, gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it finally fades away. So the bubble in twilight is the bubble beyond visible sight.
To Eiffel, the bubble is in fact a microcosm of the universe. He says there's nothing more frail in all the world than the solution of soap that, when formed by breathing air into it, parallels creation itself. By finding so much magic and so much joy in an ordinary soap bubble, 80-year-old Eiffel plaster has found even more joy in his extraordinary world.